so sorry you had to sit through that whole thing. I was cringing backstage the entire time. Wow. Thank you for coming. That's so awesome of you.
I know, did you hear? They turn people away.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry.
I'm going to have to go say hi to them afterward.
I will.
All right, so let's get started. Sorry.
No worries, dude.
So looking at the videos, I mean, one of the things, you end all of your videos with "Stay Awesome Gotham." So I'm wondering where that came from.
That came from going bye was super awkward. So I was like, oh, I should just have like a button that rhymes. And I was unhealthily obsessed with Batman at the time. So I was like, what could rhyme with Batman or bat symbol or Gotham or any of those words? So I picked Stay Awesome Gotham.
Why were you obsessed with Batman?
I just really thought he was handsome and like the ideal version of a man. He was rich, he was broody, and he was Batman. He had really nice muscles.
But yeah, the muscles will do it, right?
Yeah, it wasn't from like geek culture. It was purely selfish of like being in love with animated characters.
Okay. Cool. So I was wondering if we can sort of go back, to the beginning. And when did you start performing?
I was 19 when I started stand-up. My sister committed suicide when I was 17, right around the time when you're supposed to apply for college. So I kind of didn't do that. And I was in community for, I think, like 1 or 2 semesters and just hated it. And I was watching a Comedy Central mashup special that had like Margaret Cho and Gabriel Iglesias and all these cool comedians. And I think I laughed for the first time in like 2 years. And I was like, I could do that. Like, that looks like a lot of fun. So I started writing in a notebook for like a month. And one of my friends had a show in a bar and was like, do you want 8 minutes? And I was like, yeah, I'm there. And if you've never done stand-up, 8 minutes is a long time to be on stage. Like an embarrassingly long time to be on stage. Open mics are like 3 minutes max, maybe. So I started that and I really fell in love with it. And yeah, I kept going.
So what do you remember about your first stand-up routine?
My first stand-up routine was great. It was like this. All my Asian friends came. They laughed at my horrible jokes about like Godzilla being like a dick and like masturbation. And my parents were there. So it was a really great experience. And yeah, from there I got really anxious-ridden about it, and I actually stopped doing stand-up like 3 years ago because the anxiety of performing got too terrible, so I turned to YouTube. But now I'm like, oh, I should confront this fear, and so I'm getting back into it.
Cool. I read an interview where you said your parents were not sure what to think about your stand-up at first, but then when they saw you, then they sort of understood. Was it because of the Godzilla?
No, it wasn't because of the Godzilla dick joke. I think they were like, that's the joke that makes us on board. I think it was because, especially with the death of my sister, they were so concerned about me and my brother and about how that was going to affect us for the future. And finally seeing me on stage and seeing how much I loved performing and seeing how happy it made me made them kind of like get on board and be like, oh yeah, this is what you're meant to do. I was also a really dramatic kid, so I think they were like, oh, it makes sense now, acting, yes. Yeah.
So you mentioned, part of the reason you were inspired to actually pursue performing was because of your sister.
Yeah.
So, did that affect you going from stand-up to acting as well?
I'd always wanted to be an actor since I was like 5, and I did the Little Red Hen play with like sock puppets. I was like, I was born for this, baby. But I was too afraid, and I was incredibly shy growing up. Like, I couldn't ask store clerks where the bathroom was. I would like whisper to my sister, like, please ask that man where the bathroom is. And it was really debilitating. And so when she died, it was kind of like, oh, fuck. Like, I'm 19 years old, and I've always wanted to do this one thing, but I'm too afraid to do it because of how people will judge me or what my parents will think or how my family will accept me. And just like her death kind of made me realize, like, we don't really know what happens after this, so I might as well spend what time I do have pursuing what makes me happy.
Cool. So, going back to from stand-up to YouTube, did you start with 10-second traumas?
Yeah, YouTube was great because at the time you could do a bunch of live shows for like 3 people in a bar. And with YouTube, even if you only got like a couple hundred views, it was like, wow, that's astonishing. Like right now, I mean, if I had to ballpark guess it, there's like maybe like 100, 200 people here. And it's so much more overwhelming than when you see hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube, because that doesn't really affect your life in an immediate way, like being right in front of an audience and being like, oh, these people are here and they're thinking about me and they're looking at me and there's so many eyes. It's a completely different mindset. And so doing 10-second traumas and doing the web series was trying to get more eyeballs, because there is so much of a limited amount that you can do with live performance, even though it's so much more intimate. And I think I kind of just went from live to completely to YouTube to try to reach a bigger audience. Like, I think it was Jim Carrey that like went to movies because he could reach 5 million people instead of 5,000.
Cool. So when did you decide to start your own channel?
My best friend at the time, if you ever go into Hollywood, know that you'll probably get fucked over a lot. My best friend at the time went kind of crazy about contracts and legalities and like wanted me to sign over my rights of a bunch of stuff, and it was just really weird. And I was like, I'm your best friend, I'm never gonna fuck you over, but this is weird. And she was like, no, we're business partners, you're not my best friend. And I was like, okay, bye. I'm gonna learn how to clone myself on After Effects now.
That led you to making your own channel.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's birthed from tragedy. Yeah.
So I think the first upload that's on your site right now is the Stoner Anna versus Anna the Musical. So can you talk about that?
I did daily vlogs for I think 2 months because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it was just like me and my iPhone, like, I'm going to the grocery store, look at me. And then I realized that's terrible content, and I don't know who would want to watch that. So I saw Book of Mormon, which if you haven't seen, you should totally see it. And it was so awesome, so funny, so that I was like, I'm going to make a musical too and be just like them. So I made one that was kind of about like the part of me that likes to get high and like relax and be creative versus the disciplinary part of me that's like, no, you should work hard and be productive. And it was kind of about balancing the two, because I feel like people tend to be either complete slackers or they overwork themselves, and you never really find a medium. So that was my attempt.
So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about your process of making the vlogs, because I mean they're short, but when you look at them, you know, you're playing all these different characters. You know, each character has their own look. It seems like it must be a lot of work. So, I mean, is it really you in a room by yourself? Like,
yes, all of that was me in my house by myself. I guess the process for a vlog is, I always do it like the day before because I'm a terrible procrastinator. But it's like, what am I going through this week? They're all terribly personal. Like everything on the internet is unfortunately true. And I kind of think like, what could I say today that's the most true for me now? And so I just kind of go through my journal or whatever and look at and see what I'm feeling and see what I'm upset about. And like my most recent one was like how to deal with losing friends, because I lost 2 of my best friends doing Miss Earth. And it was a really hard, depressing time. And so I work through it and then I make a video about it to kind of be like, that's done now. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to ask, but was it like the difficulty of balancing a working relationship and a friendship, like you mentioned?
Well, when you're friends with people, friends have different expectations than when they're working for you. And what I've learned a lot these past couple years is being a boss. And unfortunately, when you're a female boss, you are interpreted differently. I've had a lot of people call me a bitch, or when I'm simply stressed out, or call me worse names than that. And I can tell when someone's talking to me, you know, that, oh, if I were a man, you would never say this to me. So it was a lot of self-entitlement on their part, and a lot of disorganization on my part. And unfortunately, they weren't kind of able to see past that, so.
Yeah, well, okay, so I mean, you sort of talk about being a woman boss, right? And I
Yeah.
think, I mean, one of the things that is talked about in the description for this event is that when we think of Asian American women making content, like comedy or something like that on YouTube, there's not that many. I mean, I'm not saying there's none. There's a lot of sort of makeup and people and singers, and there's a lot of actresses who are acting in kind of channels that are run by men. But you're like a great example of like a woman who's in charge. She's writing her own material. And I think we've talked about this backstage, but like why do you think there's less?
Honestly, I think culturally we tend to be shyer. I think we tend to be raised by parents who are very practical and want you to go into fields that are like engineering or being a lawyer or being a doctor. I also feel like we don't have enough people on TV. Like the only one I can think of is maybe like Lucy Liu, Maggie Q, if that's like it. You don't see yourself represented a lot. You're not encouraged to be aggressive and go after what you want. And unfortunately, when you do, you're kind of interpreted as a prudish bitch, and nobody wants that. So you're like, okay, I'll just be nice and make you this bento box, whatever, And it sucks because I know so many talented Asian American women who are just too afraid to go after what they want. Like the number one question I always get is like, how do I start? How do I start? And it's like, you just start. Like that's really it. It's always the simplest thing. But I feel like a lot of us are too afraid to.
Was that something that you needed to sort of learn and grow into, or was it from the beginning were you really good about like, I'm just going to start, I'm going to go?
No, I was terrible. It was really only my sister's death that motivated me to do it, which is unfortunate that like something that crazy had to happen to really go after what I wanted. And I would never, ever have had the courage to do stand-up unless I felt so empty inside.
So feel empty inside.
Feel empty inside.
And then you can pursue your dreams. Right?
I don't want anyone to get to that point, but sometimes, we're so wrapped up in ourselves and our own lives and like being judged that it really does take something like death in your immediate family to really realize like, oh, fuck, I don't want to do this forever.
Well, okay, so now, I mean, your channel is pretty popular. I was wondering if there was a moment where you realized how popular it was. Like you said, I mean, you see the numbers, but, when you're just making these videos in your house and you see a number, it's not the same thing as, actually, being in a room with like millions of people. So I don't know, is there a moment where you're like, oh, wow, a lot of people are watching?
I don't know. I have a lot of conflicting feelings about it because, as most people probably know, I dated a pretty popular dude on the internet, and my popularity is often put into question because of that, or, people are like, oh, you only got to where you are because you dated this guy. And granted, he did give me some exposure, and he did give me some tips along the way. I like to think it was me that put in all the hard work, and it is ultimately my voice. And I think it's been such a long, slow process of getting subscribers that it doesn't really hit you like, oh yes, today I'm popular, like today is the day. But hitting 1 million was pretty cool. So I'd say then it was like, oh, okay, that's like a perfect high number that I can now say, I have 1 million.
Well, I discovered you on your own merit.
Thank you.
So, okay, let's talk about the videos that we just saw. The first one, I think that's your most popular video to date.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about what inspired it?
I had that video idea for years, and I never did it because I was like, this is stupid. And then one week, I just couldn't think of anything because I think I was having a really happy, nice time in my life. So I was like, I don't know what to talk about. I have no problems. So I sifted through my idea, and I was like, oh yeah, that beauty satirical thing. Well, I guess I'll do that. So it's surprising. Something that you think isn't that good can end up being your most watched thing ever.
I mean, in the video you talk about how you've got a surprising amount of requests, about your makeup. And I mean, you're not a makeup guru. I mean, obviously, you're pretty, and you wear makeup.
It's okay. I'm not a makeup guru.
No,
you don't have to backtrack.
No, but I mean, was that was that weird to you that, you're making these comedy videos and like a lot of them are about like really like, like mental illness, social anxiety, and then like everyone still wants to know about your makeup though.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like when I was a 13-year-old girl, I'd watch, stuff on TV and I'm like, wow, that eyeliner looks so good. But I never really tried to cater to that because it always felt kind of sad to me that the number one stuff on YouTube is about how to like paint your face, So I just tried to stay away from most of that, and if I ever did do it, I wanted to put like a spin on it. And no offense to any of the makeup gurus out there, because if I were 13 and YouTube was around, I totally would have watched every single video out there. And sometimes I still look at like how to get 6-pack abs, yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely not to knock them. I mean, like, just the fact that we have, Asian American women teaching us how to do makeup, that's something that, when I was growing up, we didn't have. Like, you looked at 17 magazine and they didn't teach you how to do makeup for Asian faces. So, no, it's amazing. But it's just, like, it's funny that that was your most, like, popular video. But, so the second one is one that I personally really like.
Oh, thank you.
I was wondering, can you describe how, like, what inspired that?
That was a real thing. That like happened. And I was trying to give the guy every social cue possible. Like I turned completely around like this and was like constantly looking into my book and like, yeah, mm-hmm. And he just wasn't getting it. And I mean, shame on me for not saying like, fucker, I'm reading. But it also like made me think about like, why can't I say that? Like, why isn't that okay for me to just be like, you're bothering me in this coffee shop and I have 30 minutes to read 50 pages. So it happened pretty much word for word. Like usually the ones where I go, so the other day, is where they're 100% accurate. But that was a fun one because now I still am not able to completely do it, to tell people like, go away. But yeah, it's a lesson I'm constantly trying to learn.
Yeah, I was wondering your reaction to that. Because, I mean, for me, I think you see a lot of, it's just boys on the internet, Asian American boys and just boys in general, where they're talking about like, oh, like these girls rejecting, like, they're in the friend zone and like, why does the girl always like the bad guy? And it's the sort of implication is that like, why are all these girls like rejecting me?
Yeah.
And like, is it for like this other guy? Is it for this? And even though this has nothing to do with like romance or anything like that, like I felt like that was what was sort of missing in a way, where it's like, just because they're rejecting you, it's not because they're a bitch. Maybe they want to read their book.
I know. Well, it's also like, no offense, but we like the bad guys because the bad guys have shit going on. Like, yeah, you're a nice guy, but that guy seems nice and he can play guitar. You know what I mean? Like, I always feel like people who complain about being in the friend zone or like people are never interested in me or they reject me. It's like, well, what do you do? Like, you don't really offer anything. And like, that's why I took up like pole dancing and like hoop, because I was like, I have 4 cats. Like, I'm not really dateable right now. Like, I need to have some pros that like outweigh my cons, because that's what it comes down to, Every relationship is pro versus con, and when someone's cons outweigh their pros, then you're like, I'm not gonna be a friend, I'm not gonna be your girlfriend, I'm not gonna be your daughter. It's yeah, so it's like, what are you really offering? Like, we're all products, and I mean, you better be like a kick-ass person if you want people to take you with all your flaws and all your cons,
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, watching your vlogs over the years, we've also seen you grow. And one of the kind of 2 pairings of videos is, like, in the beginning, you did a video about, like, am I sexy? And it was about kind of as a girl, like, grappling with this idea of being sexy. And then you looped back to it. I don't know if it was this year.
Yeah.
In a video called, like, I Am Sexy. So can you sort of talk about that? I was pole dancing.
Yeah, actually, I think, I had to do a lot of auditions, especially being an Asian woman, where I'm like the prostitute or like the sexy hacker girl. Like, I had to do sexy hacker today, so like I wore this mermaid sparkly top because I was like, oh, I'm a hacker because I have glasses on, and I'm sexy because I have a crop top. But it was really hard for me to do it because I didn't feel like I was in my body, and so I was like, this is a problem. Like, I'm never going to be able to play this role unless I can actually feel like I'm a sexy individual. So I took pole dancing classes, and it was great. There were grandmas in that classes who like were like, I just had my grandchild, so I need to feel good. And like, Yeah, and there were like a lot of women who'd like recently broken up with a boyfriend, and they were like, I'm alone and I need to feel good. And it was all like a supportive community of women who just really wanted to feel good about themselves and their bodies. And pole dancing is hard. If you have ever tried to lift yourself up on a pole, you will know it is hard. Next time you see a pole, try to lift yourself up. I swear to God, it's like doing a pull-up every time. And, people are like, oh, you're a stripper. It's like, try to do a fucking inversion and see if I'm a stripper then. Like, this is a gymnastics level sport.
No, totally. I have a friend who's doing it. She has bruises.
Yeah, you bruise constantly. It's a metal pole that you have to like dance, and you get like, I get really motion sick, so I get really dizzy doing it. But you're like, I know this looks good, like. It's a challenging sport, and I think a lot of people don't realize that because pole dancers make it look so effortless and so beautiful. And so anyone who's trying to feel better about their body, it's like exercise. Like half the time I wear crop tops because if I don't feel like I look good, I'm motivated to exercise, which in turn gives you like endorphins and fights depression. Like therapy and exercise are the #1 things that help me fight depression and make me feel good about myself.
Oh, that's a perfect segue. I was gonna
ask about my depression? Thank you.
No. Yes. Tell me about your depression. No. One of the things, you have these hilarious videos, but you also have these videos that talk about really serious topics like depression and mental illness. And I think one of your early videos was just called Depression, and you got a lot of views on that. Can you sort of talk about
well, I was like naturally depressed with like death, and I realized I didn't believe in God and like all this crazy stuff when I was like 17, 18. And being in the business, especially, it's depressing because it's so much about your looks and it's facing constant rejection. And I don't know, just kind of like finding yourself is a constant struggle. And so I've been really lucky that through years of therapy, I realized what triggers my depression, and I've also been lucky enough to realize how to fight it. And I think that's the #1 thing is self-awareness for both of those things, because I have a friend who is constantly depressed, but she doesn't know why, and she doesn't know what to do to make herself feel better. And I feel like the better you know yourself, therapy can help tremendously with that, the more you can really combat it and be a healthy person.
Yeah, I think those videos are probably really helpful for especially young girls watching who probably don't get, they can, watch a lot of videos about how to make themselves pretty, but, if they're depressed, I'm sure it's really helpful to see someone like you up there, saying, I'm going through it too, and we can kind of, go through this together. So let's talk about, so you did these vlogs for, was it 2 years?
Like 2-3 years, yeah.
And then at some point you started making short films. Can you talk about what triggered that?
I was gaining notoriety online to a point where I started being known as the internet girl, and it was starting to impact my acting career. I would go into rooms and casting directors would be like, oh, you're the internet girl, right? You can't act. You've never taken an acting class. And especially stand-up, for some reason, people think people who do stand-up can't act. And so I was like, oh man, I have like 150 videos online of me in my room dancing around doing stupid shit, and I have like absolutely nothing that speaks to acting. So unfortunately, I directed like most of the short films, so my acting suffered quite a bit. But it also helped me discover a love for directing and like kind of remind everyone like, I was an actor first.
Cool. So actually, we're gonna do one more video, group of videos. It's gonna show you some of her short films. So that's her favorite thing, watching herself on video. So why don't we watch those, and then we'll come back and talk about them.
Sorry.
So I don't know if you guys noticed, but during the credits of Pregnant Apocalypse, it looked like we were torturing her. So what happened?
It's just embarrassing to watch yourself in front of other people. Especially when you're dancing when they're pregnant.
So let's talk about Riley Rewind. Can you talk about how that came about?
Riley's something I actually just kind of wrote for therapy. It's about saving a classmate from committing suicide, so it was obviously based on kind of like that moment in my life when I really wanted to time travel. And I really wish I had more time to like work on writing it, but we almost immediately went into production, and I think I'd only done like 3 passes. So now I'm terribly embarrassed because it's full of like cliches and archetypes, but it was a learning experience, and I'm ultimately proud of the message it conveys.
Well, that's the thing. I think we sort of watched you, and that was part of your drive to make so many short films, sort of like do it and do it and do it, improve more. So it's been great to see. I mean, like from short film to short film, it's been getting like so much better and better and better, and it's really exciting. Can you talk about Pregnant Apocalypse?
Pregnant Apocalypse was from like a nightmare I had. Where I was just like, aliens are gonna come and like fuck us all, man. And like, I love aliens. I love Richard Matheson, and I was reading like so many Richard Matheson short stories. So of course, after I wrote Pregnant Apocalypse, I found out he had written like a similar short story. So I was like, damn it. But it was so much fun to film, and I actually forgot I was supposed to have a dress that day so that we didn't have to worry about pants or any of the logistics of giving birth. And then when I forgot my dress, because I was directing and producing, I was like, fuck. And I was like, who's the strongest out of us? Kaja, can you rip my pants off? And so we did about like 4, the whole thing was done in like 1 long take. So we did about 4 takes where she just like goes to town on that. And it was surprisingly comfortable.
It was a very realistic depiction of
Thank you.
pregnancy and labor.
That's like the only thing I've ever done that I'm really proud of, because when I was editing, I had to like take breaks because I was laughing so hard. Like I loved it more than anything because I was like, this is so dumb, it's so great.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too.
Thank you.
And the poster for it I really liked too.
Thank you.
And then Miss Earth is one, probably the biggest one that you've done to date,
Yes.
right? So can you talk about that?
Oh my God, Miss Earth. I don't ever use this euphemism lightly because it affects me a lot. Like how people are like, oh, if I had to sit in traffic 1 more minute, I'd kill myself or whatever. But I genuinely wanted to die with Miss Earth because it was the most stressful thing. I lost friends over it. I was employing 40 people for like every day that we were on set for like 5 days. I was producing, directing, and acting, so I was doing 3 full-time jobs. And a lot of people were upset that I wasn't as organized or as prepared as I could be, and yet it was like, this is the biggest thing I've ever done. There are obviously going to be hurdles. I'm proud with how it came out because I think Greg Aronowitz, who did like the alien makeup and the set design, I think that's all beautiful and fantastic, and I learned so much about myself as a filmmaker, and I learned so much about the process because even after that like was all over, I was like, I'll do it again, you know? So it's like if anything would murder me, I would hope it would be creating content.
That's great. I think we're going to open it up for questions.
Cool.
So, I know, now it's your turn. Here, you want to start?
What makeup are you wearing today?
I don't know.
Can you guys hear? He asked, what makeup are you wearing today?
I think Benefit.
Optimism.
Kalel Kitten is the one who gave me like a bunch of freebies, so I've been milking that. I think there's someone over there.
Here, I'll let you pick.
Hello. What's up?
Did you ever name that baby?
Oh, that baby? Oh shit, what did we call him? We had like a stupid name for him on set. It was like Wilbur or something. Yeah, but he's in Greg's office now, living forever.
Hi, I'm Brian. I recently started making videos as well. So I just want to ask how and where do you get ideas from?
Kind of everywhere. Read a lot. The more you read, the more you'll be inspired. Don't try to steal anything per se, but be inspired by it. I love Joe Hill and Stephen King and Richard Matheson and Brian K. Vaughan. And for me, it's always science fiction. But whatever you want to excel in, try to consume as much as you create. Yeah. You with the cool glasses over there.
She asked,
Are you really
"What's the
gonna do
Godzilla
that to
dick
me
joke?"
right now? The Godzilla dick joke was not even a joke. It was like me talking about how penises were scary. And I was like, a penis is like Godzilla. And then I pretended it was growing. And then like on stage, I started like screaming and like being like, Godzilla! It's really bad. It's terrible. You all the way in the back. I can't see you. Hello.
I have like two separate questions. One is, what have been your biggest struggles as a woman of color in the industry, and what do you hope to see for women of color in the future? And then also, can you tell us about Daniel Radcliffe?
Oh my God. Oh man, I'm gonna make my first answer really long, so you have to wait for the Daniel Radcliffe one. I think the biggest struggle with being a person of color who's also a woman in the industry is I don't know, being an Asian woman has kind of worked out for me, guys. I'd say it's what you go out for. Because it's like, I'm always going for the geeky whatever, or like the sexy whatever. Like whatever the stereotype is what I'm constantly going out for. And that does suck, because unless I'm a white woman, I'm probably not going to go out for lead roles. So that's partially why I made Riley Rewind, because I was like, I want to be a lead. Like, why can't I be a lead? Cast myself. So I think that has been the biggest struggle with that is you have ambitions to go beyond what you look like, but you also have to pay your dues. So I get that. Daniel Radcliffe was amazing. He was so sweet. The moment he came on set, he introduced himself to every single crew member. I was like, hello, I'm Daniel. Hello, I'm Daniel. Hello, I'm Daniel. He has eyebrows out of this world, but he like pulls it off real well. He was a complete gentleman and uses Google Plus. He will not use anything but Google Plus, and Google is not even paying him. He just likes it. And I was like, you're retarded, Daniel. Yeah. You, sir.
Two questions. One's really quick. I want to know if you did your own editing, because it's kind of a struggle doing your own editing, and I couldn't imagine what it would have been like for Miss Earth, because it's such a long project. The second is, as a fellow filmmaker, I'm curious about what your like drive is for making short films. Like, how was that transition from going from vlogs to short films? How do you keep it up?
I do all my own editing. I edit almost everything. The only things I have not edited were Here She Is and Miss Earth. I was initially going to edit Miss Earth, but Murphy's Law was in effect with that project, and I reformatted the fucking hard drive. Luckily, there was a backup, but it was that moment of like accidentally reformatted it. And you know, like when you do something so stupid that you like fall to your knees? Like, so it was like that. So I was like, I'm hiring an editor. But as far as like the drive to do short films, vlogs became kind of tiresome. And I think that, I've said this before at some point, but I think quantity with a focus on improvement and quality is like the key to everything. I always give myself crazy deadlines, because if you produce so much content, you eventually get tired of it and you want to look to what's bigger and what's better. So I think it was like 100 episodes of a bunch of different web series and like 150 vlogs. And at that point, it was like, let's try to tell a story. If you what?
Is that a follow-up question on that?
Yeah. What's up?
How do you keep yourself set on deadlines?
It's called an at-a-glance planner. You can get it from Office Max. Yeah, you just have to tell it's like saying that you're going to the gym. You know if you're really going to the gym, like you're like, yeah, I'm going to write down, I'm going to run tomorrow. But if you really tell yourself, like, this is what I want to do and I'm going to commit to it, like, you know it. You know what I mean? And hold yourself fucking accountable, because that's the only way you're going to improve, white boy. I mean, in a good way. What? Do what as the Japanese voice? Oh, like answer this question? You can hear that online, bro. Yes.
Can you talk about more like how Cat Benatar started?
Kat Benatar was, I ran away from stand-up. I totally did. I cowered it out. It got so anxious-ridden that when I knew I had to do a show, I would seriously consider leaving the state. Or I'd be like, I'll tell them my grandmother died so I don't have to do the show. And it would be like days before a show, but I'd be like, oh my God, what if I'm not funny? So I ran away from that for like 2-3 years and just focused on YouTube. And then when I got comfortable with YouTube, I realized like, oh fuck, I should do that thing that I ran away from. So I still didn't want to go up by myself. So I was like, I'll ask my friend Megan to do live music with me so that it's not so scary. And I approached her and I was like, I have like a bunch of songs to sing. Like, would you want to be in a group? And she said yes. And it's been kind of hard because Megan has like a 9-to-5 job and she's not as motivated to do it in the way that I am because I'm like, this is really fucking scary. I need to do this right now before I chicken out. But it's been good so far. We've had a lot of success with it. Yes.
You mentioned before that Asian Americans are underrepresented in media.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing as a role model to encourage more participation?
I wouldn't really call myself a role model. I try to always have like a diverse cast. I mean, I hate to be like, yes, one black person, one Latino person, I'm the Asian. But I always try to get people in roles who not only are the best people for that roles, but if they're a person of color or like some diverse thing, then that's a plus for me because it's like we walk around every day and see all kinds of people, and on TV it's just like all these like really fucking gorgeous white people. So I'd like to stay away from that. So I'm kind of conscious when I cast, but ultimately you do have to go with whoever's the best fit for that. And unfortunately, like white people kind of outnumber us in the industry right now. You all the way in the back. Jimmy, Lily, Abby, and Congress. I might get more. Stay tuned. Yes.
What are your opinions on Marvel's announcement of a new Asian American?
Silk? Woo! I'm so excited. Aren't you excited? Yes. I think Silk's gonna be dope. I talked about this, I think, on Angry Asian America or whatever. They were all nitpicky, like, why is her name Silk? Oh, China's export is silk and caterpillars and so racist. And I was like, no, dude, silk comes from spiders. It's just awesome. But I'm really excited. I think Marvel's definitely going to make a movie or like at least a TV series, like maybe a pilot. So I'm really excited that we're finally being represented in comic books. There's definitely going to be a silk porn, though. Like, let's be real. Yes, sir.
Talking about being an Asian American actress, how has it been going out for auditions as you seem to be quite busy? And have you gotten at least more opportunities since you have become more popular? And when you have gotten those opportunities, how has that been?
Auditioning is weird because you normally find out a day or two before. So you'll get an audition and you have to clear your entire schedule because you have to memorize the lines, you have to pick out wardrobe because that does like some of the acting for you. I'm really lucky. I have reps that get me out quite frequently. At times it like fucks my routine and my schedule over, but obviously that's the goal, so I make it work. What was your second question?
So, like, if you were offering you roles, if you got a role for something, how is that? Does that come with your
Like if it's open, if YouTube has open doors, basically?
Well, yeah. So, like, if you were to be cast in like a film or if you be cast in something, how will that conflict with your? Because you seem to be quite busy, so does that conflict?
At times it does, but the traditional industry is so slow compared to YouTube. Like YouTube's like, I can film a video, edit the day of, it's up, it's over. Traditional takes a lot longer, and therefore you have plenty of time between things to do stuff. I have the terrible habit of saying yes to too many projects, and so that can get overwhelming, and scheduling can get stressful. But then again, that at-a-glance planner. Although I did just order the Passion Planner. Has anyone used this? Yeah? Is it awesome? I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But YouTube, my online numbers have only really helped me in the hosting area. Like, it's only ever opened doors for hosting, because unfortunately, a lot of people still hold the belief that if you're on YouTube, you're not an actor or you don't know how to act. Yeah. Wait, you got stiffed earlier. I'm gonna go with you.
How do you get the confidence to talk about things that people don't normally talk about, like depression, like breakups, and like dick jokes?
I think everyone has the confidence for a dick joke, but I think it's because I'm alone in my house and I control what goes out. So even though what you see online is pretty much me, I still can be like, this is a little too much information. I'm gonna take that out. So I don't think, it's weird to me when people can't record themselves and are afraid of YouTube, because it's like, you can edit that. You know, you can do as many takes as you want till you think it's perfect. I mean, live is so much different because I can't take back anything that I say to you. I can't like go like, wait a minute, delete that, let's redo the take, guys, you know? So I don't feel like online takes that much confidence. But a lot of people think it does, but just remember, like, anything you record, unless you make it public or it's on the cloud or something, like, you can delete it and get it to where you need it to be. You.
Okay. Hi, so I have two questions. The first one being kind of like, how do you just unite the different parts of yourself? Like, I know that a lot of us as young people, like, we have different interests and different subcultures that we take part in, and kind of how do you, like, create that sense of identity that, like, this is who you are and this is what you take part in. And then after you answer that, I'll ask you the second one.
I'm really bad at that, actually. I tend to jump all over the place. Like for 3 months, I'll be all about music and I'm gonna come out with an album and it's gonna be the best. And then the next 3 months, I'm like, I'm gonna write this pilot about this cartoon. It's so great. But I think it's just narrowing your focus down to whatever it is you feel like you really want to be versus like who you are per se. Because the more you work towards whatever it is your focus and what you do, then that kind of becomes who you are.
Okay, great. And then my second question, I know this is just kind of like random and like gratuitous, but I was wondering if we could do like a selfie with the whole.
Oh, I plan on doing it. Don't worry about that.
Because we have a selfie stick as well. I have a selfie stick if you want to use it.
You have a selfie stick? Oh my God, I haven't seen that since Breaking LA. Cool. We'll do a selfie. Yes.
What's your response to being recognized in public?
It depends on who's recognizing me and if they're crying. If they're crying, I always say, don't waste your tears on me. I ain't Justin Bieber, girl. It always gets a laugh. But normally I just try to be like, it's great, actually. Like, I don't know why celebrities have like, about it. Because I'm like, this is a person who like wants to be your friend and you didn't even do anything. Like, people like you. And I worked so hard to get people to like me and I didn't have to work for this. This is great. So it's normally nice. I really enjoy it. It can suck if like I really have to pee and like they want to take a selfie. And I'm like, can we do it while we're walking to the bathroom? But like, that's about it. Like one time a guy gave me a discount on yogurt and I was like, you didn't give it to me for free, but that's okay. Thanks, bro. Yes.
New projects.
I take advertisers. So whenever I do the Japanese voice for Audible or whatever terrible accent I'm doing, I get paid for that. And so I've been taking all of that money and putting it into the short films as well as like my life savings into Miss Earth. And it's not a sustainable business model. It's probably terrible. I opened up an IRA the other week because I'm an adult now. But that's what everyone's trying to figure out is how do you make the internet profitable? How do you make narrative content and still make a profit? Yes.
Moving from YouTube, because I think in our eyes you're pretty much a success with your vlogs, you moved to short films, but will you stay on the platform, and if not, what do you want?
My goal is to like have a TV show and to be in movies, but I really like YouTube. I feel like YouTube's kind of like a social network. I just had to turn down a talk show, and one of the things they wanted was for me to not do my YouTube channel anymore. And it was weird because it's like, that's like someone telling me to not update my Facebook or like, you can't tweet anymore. So even if I do have like regular jobs, as long as my schedule permits and my sanity permits, I'd still like to do it because at this point it's kind of just like, in a sense, therapy and kind of helps me personally process things that I'm going through. I feel like I've moved away, unfortunately. I used to be really funny and now I'm just kind of like, this is what I learned, guys. But yeah, I'd still like to do it. Oh, yes.
Do the characters that you portray, like in a film or like in a role, do they like affect your own personality? And are you gonna continue your podcast with anyone else?
the characters I portray typically aren't psychotic enough to affect me. Like if I was playing the Joker and like filming at night, I'd probably go crazy. But playing like the Asian blonde girl who helps Sally Field get across the room doesn't really do anything. I would like to have another podcast. I was gonna ask my boyfriend to do it. I haven't yet. But yeah, I really liked podcasting and I kind of miss it tremendously. So I've been thinking about it. It's just time consuming. Yes.
Would you like to go ice skating with me?
You're putting me on the spot, lady. I can't say no now. I'm really bad at ice skating. It depends when, because I leave Sunday, I think. If you can tweet me the when and the where, I may show up. Drunk. Yes. I love Wong Fu. If they're anywhere, they can cast me anytime. They just finished their movie, so I don't know what exactly they're doing. They actually approached me because one of the friends that I lost from Miss Earth was the DP who did all of my short films, and I talked to him about it, Philip in particular, and he was like, "We're always down to be your DP, Anna." So I was like, "Oh, okay, Philip, I'm gonna take advantage of you." So hopefully soon, yeah. Yes.
How much fun did you have teaching them how to pole dance?
Oh my God. Philip had to change like 3 times because he was like, these pants are too baggy. I don't like if I go upside down, they're gonna ride up and my thighs will show. And then he had this other one. He's like, these are too tight. I don't really look good in them. And it was scary because they were just like laughing the entire time that I was like, don't fall down. Like, this is gonna fucking hurt. This is serious. But it was great. They're so nice and they're so cute. If I could like every Wong Fu video and throw money at them, I totally would. Yes.
Hi, so I'm sorry, I'm like terribly nervous, but.
Don't be, girl. Everyone look at her.
I was just wondering if I may ask 2 questions. So I may ask, what kind of projects are you working on now, and are you planning to do a meet and greet after this?
For the projects, I'm working on a film. I really want to do a film next year. I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready to do that crazy stuff. And my friends wrote it. It's really funny. It's like Wedding Crashers with women, super sarcastic, super sharp. And I want to direct it and have a supporting role. As far as a meet and greet, I'm down to take pictures and talk to you guys, but I have to pee first. So if you want to stick around, I pee really fast. So if you just wait here, I will come back and we can totally take selfies. Yes.
If you could get a spot on any TV show that's running right now.
Orphan Black. Orphan Black. I would take Tatiana Maslany's job. I had an idea for a clone show, and now I can never do a fucking clone show because Orphan Black is too good. Either that or Game of Thrones, but they're never going to go on the West Side, so what do we know? Sweet. Yes.
What's your own favorite thing of yourself? YouTube. And why?
Short film wise, Pregnapocalypse. Regular video, it's the whatchamacallit, Too Late for a Comeback, when the old lady at the gym was a total bitch, and I realized all of the great comebacks after the fact, and I shot her up in my video. I was like, ha ha. Yes.
Earlier you were talking about like coping with breakups and thinking of that's
You got this, girl.
how you cope with that and earlier you were saying like you have to ask yourself like what do you have to offer?
Mm-hmm.
Like what's your advice?
Did you lose someone recently? Oh, I'm so sorry.
That didn't relate to what you were saying earlier, so that's why I was like
Well, look, I've moved around every 2.5 years. There's going to be so many people that you meet, so many friend groups that you're going to be in. Like, love everybody, but be attached to no one, because you go through big phases in your life, and like people you were friends with like in middle school or high school, you're probably not friends with now, right? The people who mean a lot to you will last, and everyone else, just wish them well. Just try to learn from it, you know? You've got this. Yes.
Hi, I'm Kelly. First of all, I want to say I love you.
I love you.
My question is that, like, when you were younger, did you ever think, like, you would be where
You look so young. How old are you? Oh my God, how did you get into this campus? Are you a child genius? Are you a genius? You can tell us. Are you a genius? You're a genius! No, are you really in college, though? Like, I really want to know now. Oh, I'm sorry. I totally forgot your question because I was thinking about that the whole time.
Like when you were little, like my age, did you ever think like you would be where you are today?
No. Well, kind of. I thought I'd be more famous. You know what I mean? Like, you like are like, oh, but I'm 25 and be so tall with like breasts that are bigger than this and like. No, I dreamed about it, but I didn't ever actually think I would pursue it. Let me tell you this, if you were me and I was 11, I would be like, go into the business now. Work at it now. Because this is a long game. Like, people who are overnight successes have been in this business for like 10, 20 years. You could be Jennifer Lawrence in 10 years, girl. Like, seriously, it takes 10 years. Get into it now. Whatever you want to do it right now, okay? Do it, genius.
I think we have time for one more question.
Oh my God, only one more. I don't know who to pick. I feel like this is, I feel like it's something. Yes, you.
You always seem so confident and just like overall like a wonderful person and just like you always seem like that type of person. And I just had a question, like how do you become that person? Like what do you do?
Lie to yourself. No, I'm for real. Lie to yourself. Like, the more you act it, the more you will become it. And I've kind of like become like this, like out of necessity of like making friends, moving a lot, and sort of just wanting to make people feel comfortable. When I feel like someone's uncomfortable or shy, like I can turn it on because I'm like, oh no, I want you to feel good. If I'm just like me, myself at a party and I don't know anyone, I'm like, you know what I mean? So no one knows what you're thinking and no one knows really like who you are. So you can be whoever you want to be. You just have to be a really good liar. And even if you're not a good liar, people will be like, So if you want to be confident, just pretend. Pretend so much that you eventually start believing it, and then you'll be it.
Well, I think we need to wrap up, but don't worry, selfies and ice skating later.
Yes, after I pee. Remember, I have to pee real bad.
So please join me in thanking Anna Akana for taking it.
We're one award closer to the after party. Yeah. Leanne warned me not to get too drunk, so I haven't been drinking at all, so I'm so excited. I want to say thank you so much to Leanne for having me at this event. I haven't experienced community like this since I lived in Japan, and it has been so moving and so eye-opening to be welcomed into a community with Miranda and Jared just throwing me bags of snacks all the time. And for Dan, AKA Dan, to be so wonderful, and everyone in this community to just be so welcoming and supportive, and it's like family. You all look like my family too, so that helps. I just want to say thank you to Brad for coming and being super supportive, and thank you to everyone at this festival. Have a good one.